This video is sponsored by me, the ultimate angel investor. Would you believe that without me, this video wouldn't even exist? After hearing that, subscribing to me probably sounds like a pretty cool thing to do, huh? Thank God for me. On with the video. Crash Bandicoot, aka Crash Bandicoot. Is Crash Bandicoot still beloved these days? His reputation has always seemed to fluctuate wildly, especially to me, an outsider. I did play the PS1 games when I was younger, but I never got super deep into their systems. I've only beaten Crash 2, and I just collected what was needed. They're fun games. The remastered collection and Crash 4 seem to have really helped the series out. But there's something interesting the Crash games do that has always stuck with me, and I just want to talk about it a bit. If you're new here, hey, I talk about games in my little corner of the internet to give the lovely people who are actually around me a break from all my big brain gaming takes. So if you love big brain gaming takes, consider subscribing so you don't miss any. This channel largely focuses on gameplay, so if you like gameplay, I'd love to have you aboard. Now, getting back to old Crash, for the uninitiated, the Crash games are early 3D platformers where you run through pretty linear and rigid obstacle courses. Your primary goal is to get to the end of the stage while also collecting that stage's crystal. Crystals are like power stars or moons in the 3D Mario games. You need a certain amount of crystals to complete the game, and every stage has one. Crash 2 and 3 opened up progression a bit more because now you have options on what stage you would like to play next. It's a fine system, and lots of early 3D platformers operated in this way. I mean, the only one that really stands out as being different off the top of my head is probably Sonic Adventure. A game's replay value is something that I really value. Go figure. I think some of the best games ever made are built in a way where you naturally have the urge to come back regularly, to take on new challenges, or just improve for your own sake. This is why after over 30 years, I'm still playing the old Sonic games. Sometimes a game like Sonic 1 or 2 can get me to go back just for the sake of it, without giving me any in-game reason to do so, just because the gameplay is so fun on its own. But not every game is so lucky. When a game doesn't have anything for a player to come back for, or is designed so tightly that there's not a lot of room for the player to express themselves the second time around, I consider that a failing on the developer's part. Crash Bandicoot's developers over at Naughty Dog seem to understand this by the release of 1999's Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. Crash 3 is the first game in the series to introduce these nifty little things. These are relics, and the rewards for beating a stage's unlockable time trials. You see, once you finish a stage, if you go to play it again, there will be a clock sitting there at the start. If you opt into the challenge by picking it up, this timer starts and it's off to the races. The collectibles don't matter, the enemies don't matter, I mean unless they're in your way of course. The bonus stages are disabled, the game is transformed, and it's all about speeding your way through as fast as possible. In order of difficulty, there are Sapphire, Gold, and Platinum relics to chase after. Upon completion, your best clear time is saved, and you're rewarded with the relevant relic as a collectible. You can even put your name in like an old arcade game so that everyone who comes over can see how much massive raw sex appeal you have. It's a brilliant system, and the tiered nature of it means the devs were able to keep it accessible to everyone who wanted to do 100% completion. You only need the gold relics if you're trying to complete the game 100%. Platinum relics are only there for the player who wants to go even further beyond the established limits of Crash Bandicoot. It's as personal as a personal challenge can get. I love this. What I love so much about it is it's a system that's baked into the game, it tweaks the core gameplay, and is fully acknowledged and encouraged by the developers. It isn't just a normal self-imposed speedrun. It's not one-sided like that. That's why I really love it. It's a direct challenge proposed by the developers. I think that is really the big difference here. The Platinum relics are even designed to take into account skills that Crash will acquire as the game goes on, like the dash or the bazooka. Even weird-ass quirks of the gameplay that you normally wouldn't take into account, you have to be mindful of in order to hit these times. Ask anyone who's done it, and they'll tell you. If you collect the platinum relics in any given Crash Bandicoot game, you will be a better player with a deeper understanding of the game than someone who never bothered to. I really and truly love this aspect of Crash Bandicoot's design. The only things that suck about it is just the game that they're in. I mean, no disrespect to Crash Bandicoot, but I mean, it's Crash Bandicoot. The more gimmicky levels aren't too amazing and the core gameplay doesn't like blow me away. It's not bad, but it's just Crash Bandicoot. The time trials do make it a lot more fun for me. I think this series really benefits from being played more brazenly like this, but Crash is just not ever my first choice of platformer, 2D or 3D. The character himself just doesn't have the stuff, you know what I mean? Like, look how goofy this guy looks and renders all the time. I mean, is this your king? Is this your king, Crash fans? You know who does have the stuff? Mario and Sonic the Hedgehog. The Sonic and Mario series could really use extra challenges like this. Sonic is clearly better at this than Mario by a country mile, but Mario's potential replay value has long been abandoned by Nintendo. Super Mario Wonder made sure of that. Now, what's really cool is that a system like this can be applied to many different games actually, and I'll touch on a few ideas outside of platform games closer to the end of the video. But for now, let's focus on the Plumber and the Hog. Mario is in a rougher spot, so we're gonna start with him. Super Mario Wonder recently released to critical acclaim. The general gaming audience loved it, but I thought it was ass. Now why? Well, you can check this video for the full story, but the short version is, Wonder wasn't interested in being a good video game anymore. There's not a lot to do in the game outside of just clearing the stages, multiplayer was gutted of all the fun it once had, the characters weren't any different from each other, and worst of all, the score and the timer, long-standing elements of arcade-style game design, were removed. Unlike Crash with its relics, there is no push from the developers for a player to play a stage again after they collect the Wonder Seeds, Flower Coins, and get the flagpole. All three of which can easily be accomplished in your very first run of that stage because the game is completely adverse to challenge of any sort. I hated it. I can safely say that with my whole chest. I hated it. I hated what that game did to 2D Mario. Now, I'm a solutions guy, so fixing Super Mario Wonder would have been really easy, I think. I think that if it was willing to borrow just a bit from Crash Bandicoot, it would have been way better off. Picture a world where you just completed a fun stage in Mario Wonder. You managed to collect everything the first time around. How nice for you! Now tell me, what reason would you possibly ever have to play that stage again? Well, dear viewer, there is only one reason.
F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me. N is for anywhere and anytime at all.
Down here in the deep blue sea. F is for fire that burns down the whole town.
Just for the sake of it. There's no in-game metric you're judged on, there's no skill level you're pushed to clear, there's no reason to beat that stage again but not take damage this time. Maybe get a certain score requirement. Maybe to see how fast you can beat it. Maybe to clear it with a specific power-up or a specific character. There's nothing. The developers of Super Mario Wonder gave you that stage, left to go get milk, and they are never coming back.
You can't keep getting away with it! He can't keep getting away with it! He won't.
If you're gonna have any more fun with that stage, you gotta find that fun all on your own. Super Mario Wonder does absolutely nothing to nudge a player into engaging with its content more than once. This is easily that game's biggest flaw. It's not just Wonder though. Wonder took the arcade systems out back and shot them, but the Mario series has not cared about this for a long time. There has never been any sort of time trial or extra challenges tied to the core 2D Mario stages. There's never been any unlockables or extras tied to getting a high score or low clear time in the Mario series. Nintendo is completely disengaged from how the player is going to find fun in these games beyond that first playthrough. The 3D games don't even have score or timer systems at all. I mean, even Sonic kept that when making the jump to 3D. What I'm getting at here is there's no in-game reason or in-game incentive to play Mario better than you played it the last time. And I just think that really sucks. The Mario games are actually really fun speed games. If the developers would just be a little more willing to present this to more casual players, especially barring things like 100% behind reasonably tough time trials or score attacks, I think it would only make the Mario games more popular. I mean, let's be real here, they'll probably always be popular, but these days they feel like they're just coasting on their legacy. I played Odyssey for the first time this year, and I thought it was great, but I also thought a lot about how the game would have been so much better if it just had some simple time trials in each world, some kind of world-spanning obstacle course maybe. There are these little ones you can start by finding these scarecrows, but it's just not enough. You'll get it on your first try and then just forget about it. I feel like I'm just desperate for anything at this point. Anything. Any reason at all to come back to Mario, I mean, fuck. Sonic at least is much better than Mario when it comes to replay value, and the developers inspiring the player to just want to play better. Sonic Adventure 1 was the first time every aspect of play in any given stage was recorded. Your best time, score, and even ring count were all there for you to check whenever, and so if you wanted to do something like collect as many rings as possible in Emerald Coast, that achievement would be recorded and acknowledged by the game. Sonic Adventure 2 introduced a proper ranking system for each stage, and now included how many times you tried a stage in that data. On top of that, there were 4 extra missions for each level, giving each stage in the game 5 top ranks to go for. Lately, the ranking systems in Sonic games have been getting more and more simplified to the point where they don't even matter anymore. These days, if you finish a stage without dying, you're pretty much guaranteed the highest rank of S. Your best score isn't even saved anymore in some of the more recent games, despite being shown to you. What the hell is even contributing to a high score in Sonic Generations? Just the time? Time and rings? Did destroyed enemies help my score at all? Who knows? It's a real shame when the Sonic series came out the gate swinging. They were doing pretty damn well in this regard before. Like, come on, you can't tell me it doesn't make a ton of sense to beat a Sonic stage, get spit back out to the menu, and then see a new challenge pop up for that very stage? Something to perhaps push a player to go faster in the fucking gotta go fast video game? How Crash Bandicoot, this fucking hunchbacked Bandicoot, managed to get a feature like this into his game before Sonic just blows my mind. Mario is one thing, but this is Sonic we're talking about. Players having a deeper understanding of the physics and momentum-based systems of Sonic games would only help the series' reputation, and yet Sonic Team keeps refusing to shine a light on it. It's so frustrating. I would love to see a Sonic game with time trials like Crash Bandicoot 3. There is normally a time attack mode, but the devs don't take this opportunity to set tricky times as the baseline for each stage. It's literally right there staring them in the face. Throw some developer ghosts in there for good measure. I mean, how awesome would that be? I need y'all to understand, Sonic and Mario are the current leaders in the platform games genre. Mario is sitting pretty at number 1, having moved over 430 million units in the Super Mario subseries, and Sonic is the next platformer on the list, sitting at number 13 with 166 million units sold. Fucking Crash Bandicoot is number 38, having sold about 71 million units. Now, if you're wondering what this matters for, people look at what these series do. Other developers look at what these series do. Other platform games look to Mario especially as a trendsetter, and Sonic has plenty of other series he's inspired as well. So when either of them miss the boat on a feature that would be perfect for them, it's just incredibly frustrating. Crash Bandicoot got this right in 1999. So what's the excuse in 2025? Don't misunderstand me though, this is not something I feel needs to be exclusive to platformers. Definitely not. Challenges that ask more of the player or get them to think about things in ways that aren't immediately obvious can only help any video game. To name a few, Fire Emblem has a really popular self-imposed challenge to complete a stage in as little turns as possible. The games, as far as I know, never reward the player with anything for successfully pulling this off. People have just been doing it for fun. But in the next Fire Emblem, what if, when you complete a fight, there was some sort of challenge mode version of it added to the menu? The challenge could be a lot of different things, like complete the map with these certain units, complete a map in as few turns as possible, or complete a map in as little dealt damage as possible. Now that could be interesting, right? That could be kind of fun for all the stat min-maxers out there. Even AAA critical darlings can get in on this action. I've been replaying The Last of Us 2 here recently, and the devs have added a few things to the PS5 version to make it shine much brighter as a pure video game-ass video game. No Return is a new roguelike mode that I'm absolutely addicted to, complete with multiple characters who actually play differently, completion ranks, high scores, and all sorts of unlockables. It's a mode that, like Crash Bandicoot, asks the player to play it again, but better. Not only that, but a speedrun mode was added for the main game, and this thing tracks damn near every metric a player could possibly care about. I cannot stress how much these systems extend the life of a game like this. Sure, the first time you play it, it's just a typical casual run. You're probably getting lost in the story, you're invested in those twists and turns, but the second time, every time after that, who cares? You've seen it, you know it. And at least for me, just playing it again to see these beautiful cutscenes again isn't enough of a reason. And let's not forget permadeath mode as well. Now, I'm learning these encounters until I have them down to a science. Now, I'm figuring out which ones I can easily sprint through, which ones where I have to take out everyone as fast as possible instead, which items or techniques I need to have ready for which encounters. It really trims the admittedly tasty fat of The Last of Us 2, and you're left with a lean, juicy, heavenly steak of a game. And funnily enough, we end where we began, with Naughty Dog. Say what you will about their stories, but these guys never get lost in that. Not in my opinion. It's always still about being a great video game. I'm going to wrap this up, but I want to know what you guys think. Can you think of any other games that might benefit from a system like Crash Bandicoot's? Do things like that even get you to return to games, or do you not bother? Do you care about how well you get through a game the first time? Are you just trying to get to the end by any means necessary? Let's chat about it. Like and subscribe if I entertained you, and till next time, don't you dare cash my Banuka.